Well, it's not exactly like Game of Thrones, but hear me out. I mean, yes, the story revolves around seven realms, each ruled by a werelord who can shapeshift into a powerful beast: a wolf, a lion, a bear, a stag, and others. The Wolf King is slain by the Lion King, much like how the Lannisters executed Ned Stark, and now the Lions rule the Seven Kingdoms, having clawed their way to power through betrayal and brute force. Oh, and of course, there's a looming supernatural threat in the wild. Think White Walkers meet wildlings. We also have a naive princess desperate to marry a prince who's as cruel as he's immoral. And meanwhile, the exiled wolf boy is hunted, his family wiped out and divided, paralleling the tragic fate of the Starks. And at the heart of it all is the relentless battle for the throne. So, make of that what you will. But cheeky observations aside, the similarities end here. While the intrigue and plot are as old as time, this type of story will always be effective because no matter how many centuries pass, it speaks to something deeply primal and relevant within us. Even Game of Thrones uses that formula. George R. Martin himself stated that Game of Thrones was inspired by the War of the Roses and Shakespearean tragedies, not to mention the juxtaposition of lion versus wolf, which is actually a common theme across mythology, history, and literature. Lions are symbols of power and dominance, while wolves represent survival and resilient instincts, which make it the perfect narrative tool for portraying stories we all love and understand. It's not only lions versus wolves, it's leadership versus independence, monarchy versus rebellion, brute strength versus clever survival, and Wolf King is really good in that regard. Adapted after Curtis Jobling's book series Werewolf, Season 1 of the Wolf King animation aired this week on Netflix. It follows the story of Drew Farron, a young farm boy who discovers he is the last of the Wolf Lords. In order to survive the ones who wish to eradicate his kind, he must navigate a dangerous realm, gather allies, and embrace his destiny as he tries to reclaim his right as heir to the throne of the Seven Realms. Right off the bat, while I did enjoy the characters and the plot, the animation style was not particularly to my liking. It's a, let's call it, interesting 3D animation style that resembles stop motion, but the specific frame rates and visual textures were somewhat off, and that occasionally distracted me from fully immersing into the story. I don't know if that's just me or if they were trying something new I'm not used to yet, but I feel they could have done better with this animation, especially since Jellyfish Pictures, the studio responsible for it, worked on projects such as How to Train Your Dragon, Boss Baby 2, and Spirit Untamed, so my expectations were higher. Still, I love the character design, especially the werelords. Drew's awakened form is magnificent. I appreciate that he looks menacing and they didn't come up with any useless or inesthetic physical feature to showcase that he's a young wolf. Duke Bergen's design is another one of my favorites along with King Leopold, but I don't know how I feel about Count Vega yet. His werewolf form looks a bit incomplete or inconsistent with the rest of the characters. Also, Lady Gretchen's human form is lovely. Her fox ear hair accessory is everything. Since I haven't read the books, I can only review the story from the animation's point of view, so here we go. Like I previously said, the plot is nothing new. This is a dark coming-of-age ceremony. Drew is not only trying to reclaim a throne, but he is supposed to stay alive in a world that wants him dead. Overnight, his entire life is turned upside down, his mother is slaughtered, the rest of his family blames him for everything, he's forced into exile, and he has to come to terms with his newly discovered origin story. On top of that, Drew needs to learn to control his wolf powers, or else he will be lost entirely to the beast inside. His hero journey is relatable and offers viewers the perfect mix of emotional struggle and never-ending action. Wolf King offers a more unique take on the medieval fantasy trope and brings its world building to a whole new level. The show blends mythology, magic, and politics to offer a more natural take on warfare, with lords that can shapeshift into apex predators and claim a throne through sheer power and intelligence rather than by birthright. Personally, I appreciated the morally grey politics and power struggles in the story. There are no established good or bad characters. Every character acts upon what they think is right, and their motivations can be explained by their instincts, desires, and upbringing. From what I've read, even Leopold's book version is not evil. He is motivated more by logic, instinct, rather than pure malice. I liked how loyalty is questioned and how, much like in the real world, there is no such thing as blind commitment. Beliefs may change, alliances may falter, and promises made can always be broken if shared interest is no longer prioritized. In the end, Drew is supposed to be the rightful heir to the throne, but is he the right heir for it? Just because you are entitled to something does not mean you are worthy or prepared for it. This is precisely what makes Wolf King a good story. It challenges both the characters and the viewers to ask these questions and demand the journey of learning and loss for our hero. The main characters seem to be fleshed out well enough. They are likable and charming, and the animation features good dialogue, some funny scenes, and unexpected but entertaining scenarios. When it comes to the series' aesthetics, the world is vibrant and detailed, with great emphasis on the way they employ light to craft certain scenes. I actually love the high-speed sequences where the characters run or fight and you have those distinctive colorful light trails emitting from their eyes. I thought that was pretty cool. The pacing is alright, although I would have preferred it to be more even, because there are parts in the show where the narrative rhythm isn't consistent, such as episode 5, Return to Motley, where we have Erin's story unfold, and that falls a bit flat for me, and then the last episode, The Fall of the Lion, where things are rushed and that leaves us all wanting for more, but not in a good way. But this is just the first season, so I expect them to achieve a more harmonious pace in season 2. Now, another issue that I have with Wolf King relates to story development, specifically to how some characters were handled. Duke Bergen's behavior is sketchy and questionable every time he's on screen. I understand he's struggling with his loyalties, but at least in Count Vega's case you can easily read behind his fake reassurances. I was also confused about Duke Manfred and Earl Mickle's duo and their motivations, and I felt like they could have explored that better instead of introducing us to their 30 seconds of ambiguous glory. And don't get me started on Erin. Her contribution to the story is lacking, and the way they approached her character was rushed and anticlimactic. If there's one thing I wanted to see done differently, it's the way Drew finds out about his powers. Why do fictional parents wait till the last moment to tell you a truth that can cause so many misunderstandings if left untended? Surely there are better and more realistic ways to get the intrigue going, but for now, we'll just have to let that question stay rhetorical. All in all, if you can overcome the animation style, which seems to have bothered quite a few people, I believe Wolf King is an amazing story and it rightfully deserves your attention. The episodes are short, you can finish the entire season in just one afternoon, that's how I did it, and I can safely say that it keeps you entertained and on edge for the most part. I'm curious what your thoughts on the animation are, and if you've read the Werewolf books, how does the animation compare to the written materials and which do you prefer? This is it for today. As always, thank you for watching. Please help me out with a like, a comment, and consider subscribing to my channel for more video essays. It would really make my day, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Take care everyone, and see you next Sunday. Bye!